storming over the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict as France, US and Russia come together against Turkey. The Nagorno-Karabakh conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia in the South Caucasus region is turning out to be a major game changer. Turkey's belligerence against Armenia and the deployment of Syrian jihadists in yet another conflict zone is irking France, Russia and the United States of America. All these three countries share common interests regarding Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's expansionist belligerence, and therefore an unlikely alliance comprising the US, France and Russia is coming together against Turkey. It is difficult to imagine the US and Russia on a common diplomatic platform making similar demands for shared geopolitical goals. France, Russia and the US are the permanent members of the Minsk group that was constituted after an armed conflict erupted for the first time between Armenia and Azerbaijan over Nagorno-Karabakh. Today, all these three military powers want a ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan, whereas Erdogan wants to ensure that the fighting continues. The sudden bottoming between France, the US and Russia started last month after Paris pushed a proposal for talks amongst the Minsk group in the background of armed hostilities between Azerbaijan and Armenia. An official at French President Macron's office had then said, "We will trigger in the coming days a coordination of the Minsk group to clear up what happened, who is responsible, and find a way out." When France, Russia and the US were individually calling for a ceasefire in the Nagorno-Karabakh dispute, Ankara simply refused every single demand for putting a break on hostilities. Russia brokered two ceasefires between Azerbaijan and Armenia, but both of them collapsed. Ultimately, the Minsk group realized that it will have to come together in order to effectively bypass Turkey and negotiate an effective ceasefire in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. Earlier this month, France's foreign minister said that talks among Russia, France and the US would be held in Moscow and Geneva in a bid to ensure that the two warring sides in South Caucasus agree to negotiate a ceasefire. In fact, the Minsk group is leading the ceasefire negotiation efforts in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. On October 23rd, the Minsk group co-chairs met in Washington along with the foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan. They agreed to meet again in Geneva on October 29th. An American administration official said US leadership with support from Russia and France brings additional hope that the ceasefire will lead to a lasting peace settlement. Indeed, the US has been able to negotiate a third ceasefire between Armenia and Azerbaijan with Russian and French support. The US President Donald Trump tweeted, "Congratulations to Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, who just agreed to adhere to a ceasefire effective at midnight. Many lives will be saved. Proud of my team for getting the deal done." While the ability of France, Russia and the US to come together and negotiate a conflict is rather surprising given the unpleasant history between the US and Russia, it seems that France has been able to club them together by targeting the common enemy in Turkey. France, Russia and the US, all of them share a sense of animosity for Turkey. As for Russia,
Shalom. Foremost, give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakadash. Salutation to the elders and apostles of GMS groups, the ones that like teach 100% true. Shalom, Barakathon to them for the edification and knowledge. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS groups, the ones that like teach 100% true. Shalom, Barakathon to them. Give all praise and foremost to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakadash. Video relates to unlikely allies, USA, U.S., France, and Russia, relating to the opposition against Turkey. There was a video relating to that, to the conflict between them. I want to go to Ecclesiastes 12, and 12 and 10. Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. They're enemies, they're not friends, man. You know what I mean? These nations were never friendly really towards each other, you know what I mean? So you can't trust them, you know what I mean? So you can't trust your enemies. It's like iron, his wickedness, like iron. Read it again. Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. It never changes, man. You know what I mean? Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet he take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So they are what they are, you know what I mean? Regardless how much they try to clean themselves up, their nature, their natural state is what they are and what they were created to be. I'll read those two again. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So like iron rusted, so is his wickedness, you know what I mean? It never changes, man. You know what I mean? It stays the same. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So even though when they try to clean themselves up, you can't clean away of his true natural state, man, because relating to the wicked, they are created to be wicked, man. They are wicked. That's their nature, man. And related to these nations, they are wicked, man. You know what I mean? These nations are not really friendly towards each other. You know what I mean? They don't like each other. And that's just what it is. I'm going to go to Revelations 11, and in the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. The 10th part represents the 10 zones related to the FEMA zones that pretty much make up the parts of this country. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory unto the God of heaven. And what's ultimately going to break these 10 parts up is related to the missiles, man. You know, I mean, that's what's going to break up. That's going to divide relating to the country. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. WW2 has passed, WW3 will come quickly, man. And that's what's to come. And this relates to the vision. This relates to pretty much the terrifying vision of the warfare, man. And that's what's going to happen, man. Relating to what's to come, you know. All right, that was a quick video relating to unlikely allies relating to against Turkey. I'm going to go to Jeremiah 51 real quick, go to a few verses. Straight to the point. And Babylon had been a golden cup into the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken, and the nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. And that's what's happened. It relates to the philosophies, ideologies, the doctrines, the Western philosophy that it pushes among these other nations, man. And they don't like pretty much the outcome of it, so they become mad. And there's already tension among these nations anyway relating to different proxy wars and different matters abroad. So pretty much they're coming against, they pretty much covertly, overtly coming together and creating unlikely alliances, for example, to go against other nations. This was just something quick. Give all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahshua Bashem Rakadash. Shalom.